In a world where children spend too much time indoors, one recreation department will rise to the challenge and open free summer playgrounds throughout the city of Milwaukee. When playgrounds open on Monday, June 23rd, summer will never be the same. This summer, Milwaukee Recreation is now playing everywhere.
The organizational meeting of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors will please come to order. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we will have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Good evening, my name is Judith, the Spanish interpreter. If you need interpretation services, let me know. Thank you. Buenas noches, soy el intérprete español. Si requiere servicio de interpretación, déjemelo saber. Thank you.
The Office of Board Governance has received certification from the City Clerk that Marva Herndon, Megan O'Halloran, Bob Peterson, Erica Simpson, and Saquana Taylor, who were elected to membership on the board on April 2nd of 2019, have taken the oath of office and are duly qualified to serve. We will now take the roll. When your name is called, please state present. Director Baez.
Present.
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Miller.
Present.
Director O'Halloran.
Present.
Director Peterson.
Present.
Director Phillips.
Present.
Director Simpson.
Present.
Director Taylor.
Present.
Director Woodward.
Here.
We have 9 present. The board will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Any members of the audience who wish to participate may do so, but we ask that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the recitation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, the board will elect a temporary presiding officer. Are there any nominations?
Yes. Director Miller.
Are there any other nominations? As the roll is called, please state your choice for Chair Pro Tem. 5 votes are necessary for election. Director Baez.
Director Miller.
Director Herndon. This would be the vote for the temporary presiding officer.
Dr. Baez.
Director Miller.
Director Miller.
Director O'Halloran.
Director Miller.
Director Peterson.
Director Miller.
Director Phillips.
Director Miller.
Director Simpson.
Director Miller.
Director Taylor.
Director Miller.
Director Woodward.
Director Baez.
Director Miller is hereby elected temporary presiding officer by a vote of the majority of the board.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next order of business is election of a president to serve for the ensuing year. As the board clerk calls the roll, please indicate your selection for president. 5 votes are required for election. Director Baez.
Director Miller.
Director Herndon.
Director Miller.
Director O'Halloran.
Director Miller.
Director Peterson.
Director Miller.
Director Phillips.
Director Miller.
Director Simpson.
Director Miller.
Director Taylor.
Director Miller.
Director Woodward.
Director Miller, he has it, right?
Director Miller.
Director Miller.
By unanimous vote, Director Miller will serve as president for this board year.
The next order of business is the election of a vice president to serve for the ensuing year. As the board clerk calls the roll, please indicate your selection for vice president. 5 votes are required for election.
On the vote for vice president for this board year, Director Baez.
Director Baez.
Director Herndon.
Director Baez.
Director O'Halloran.
Director Baez.
Director Peterson.
Director Baez.
Director Phillips.
Director Baez.
Director Simpson.
Director Baez.
Director Taylor.
Director Baez.
Director Woodward.
Director Baez. He's got it.
President Miller.
Director Baez.
Having received a unanimous vote, Director Baez will serve as vice president, duly elected to serve vice president for the ensuing year.
Director Baez, do you have any comments to make?
I just want to thank everybody for the vote, and I will work very hard with all of you in many issues.
And I also want to say to the board that I will work tirelessly to bring this board together and accomplish all of the very important things that people have set out to accomplish. So thank you also for my election. The next order of business is the designation of a board clerk. Wisconsin Statute Section 119.10 requires that the board annually designate a board clerk. On April 25th, 2017, the board designated Dr. Jacqueline Mann as board clerk. If there's no objection, Dr. Mann will continue to serve as the board clerk. Not seeing any objections at this time. It is necessary. So it's assumed, correct, right? Robert's Rules of Order, that you are the serving board clerk, correct?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, that would be correct.
Have any comments?
Thank you so much for your confidence in me in serving as your board clerk for this year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, it is necessary to appoint board members to various boards and committees on which the Milwaukee Board of School Directors is represented. The first appointment is the Library Board. Wisconsin Statute Section 43.54, 1AM, the president is an ex officio member of the Library Board. However, if I elect not to serve, it can be provided, but I do elect to serve on that board.
So noted.
The next appointment is CISA 1. Wisconsin Statute Section 116.021A provides that annually, on or after the fourth Monday in April, the school board of each district in the agency shall appoint one of its members as representatives for the purpose of determining the composition of the Board of Control. The liaison last year was Director Falk. Do any board members wish to volunteer? Director Herndon, you want to volunteer for this?
I volunteer.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the board with respect to that appointment?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we do need a second as director.
Okay, we have a second. Director Taylor. Please call the roll.
On Director Herndon's motion to serve as the CISA 1 representative for the board for the ensuing year, seconded by Director Taylor. Director Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
The next appointment is a continuation of the board's delegate to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, WASB. At its regular meeting on November 30th, 2017, the board elected Director Tony Baez as the delegate for WASB Region 14 for the ensuing 3-year term. As this is a 3-year term, Director Baez will continue as the board's delegate to WASB until WASB gives notice of an upcoming election. The next appointment, congratulations, Director Baez. You have represented us well there for the past year. The next appointment is to the Milwaukee Education Partnership. The Milwaukee Board of School Directors is an executive partner of the MEP, a PK-16 Council of Education, Labor, Business, Government, University, Foundation, Parent, and Community Groups. The executive partners provide the ongoing direction and overarching goal and objectives for the work of the partnership. The president of this board is the board ex officio delegate, and I will continue to do, I will do that as board president.
So noted.
Okay, the next appointment is the MPS Head Start Policy Council. The liaison to the MPS Head Start Policy Council for 2018-19 board year was Director Harris. Does any board member wish to volunteer to be the delegate to the council for the 2019-20 board year?
Director Miller, I would volunteer for that.
Okay, Director Simpson has volunteered. What's the pleasure of the board with respect to this appointment?
A second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Simpson's motion to volunteer to serve as the board's delegate to the Head Start Policy Council for the ensuing year, seconded by Director Phillips. Director Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
The next appointment is to the Milwaukee City Council of PTAs, PTSAs. The liaison to the Milwaukee City Council of PTAs, PTSAs for the 2018-2019 board year was Director Woodward. Does any board member wish to volunteer to be the liaison to this Council of PTAs, PTSAs for the 2019-2020 board year?
I volunteer.
Okay. All right. Director O'Halloran, what's the pleasure of the board with respect to this appointment?
I second it.
Okay. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director O'Halloran's motion to serve as the board's liaison to the Milwaukee City Council of PTAs and PTSAs, seconded by Director Peterson. Director Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Woodward,
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
The next appointment is to the Title I District Advisory Council. The liaison to the Title I District Advisory Council for the 2018-29 board year was Director Phillips. Does any board member wish to volunteer to be the liaison to the Title I District Advisory Council for the 2019-20 board year?
I nominate Director Phillips.
Do you accept, Director Phillips?
President Miller, I'm happy to serve again in this capacity. However, if there's somebody else that would like to, I think that it's a phenomenal way to be in front of parents and parent coordinators and other educators. So I'm happy to share. Otherwise, I'm happy to stay in the role.
Okay. No one else? Okay. Not seeing anyone else volunteering. What's the pleasure? Oh, we do have a, please call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chair, we do need a second on Director Baez's nomination.
I second.
On Director Baez's motion to nominate Director Phillips to serve on the District 1 Advisory Council for the ensuing year, seconded by President Miller. Vice President Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, a point of procedure. If there are other areas of work or organizations that we would like reported to the board with representatives from the board, what's the process for establishing that?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, those other seats would be delegated by the board's president, and they would become a part of the board's delegation reports at the end of the regularly scheduled monthly board meeting.
So is it appropriate to announce at least one other that I would like to report to the board so that people are aware that I'm intending to do this?
That would need to be publicly noticed, and so
okay.
all of the committees that needed designation tonight are publicly noticed.
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will do that for the next meeting. Madam Secretary, are there any regular items of business?
Yes, Mr. President, we have 2 regular items of business. Item 1 is the annual review of and action on board compensation. At its meeting on November 28th of 2000, the board set salaries at $18,121 per year for board members and $18,667 per year for the board president. The board's action on November 28th of 2000 also contained a provision that the board's compensation be reviewed annually at the organizational meeting. The compensation currently remains at the level set by the November 28th of 2000 board action. The recommendation is that the board determine how it wishes to proceed with this item.
What's the pleasure of the board in regard to this item?
Keep the status quo.
Keep the status quo. Okay. I hear that as a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Peterson's motion to maintain the salaries of board members at the level set at the November 28th of 2000 board meeting. Seconded by Director Baez. Director Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what's the next regular item of business?
The next regular item of business is item 2, transmittal of tentative 2019-20 board calendars. The tentative calendars of the meetings of the board and its committees for the 2019-20 board year is included in the attachments to this item. The calendar has been prepared in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, Section 119.10, and Board Rules 1.01, 1.02, and 2.02. The recommendation is that the board determine what action, if any, it wishes to take regarding to the tentative 2019-20 board calendars.
Point of information, Madam Clerk, what action did the board take last year on this? Do you recall?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the calendars that were presented to the board were passed unanimously without any alterations.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board in regard to this? So really, the intention here is to actually pass a calendar, okay? The calendar can be changed, but it's very difficult to do that once we set it in this stone. So what's the pleasure of the board in relation to this calendar?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
members of the board, and for the listening audience, the calendar takes into account holidays, legal holidays, conference dates, and dates when schools would be out for vacation in such a spring break. So the calendar encompasses all of those dates, and in addition, the board can work with the board chair to arrange any special board meetings.
Director Bias.
I move that we adopt the calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On Director Baez's motion to adopt the calendars as attached to this item, seconded by Director Herndon. Vice President Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, is there any unfinished business?
Mr. President, there is one item of unfinished business. Item 1 is action on the disposition of unfinished business pending before the board and its committees at the close of business on April 25th of 2019. The attachment to this item includes a list of unfinished business pending before the board and its standing and special committees. The list is prepared pursuant to provisions of Wisconsin statutes, Section 119.10, Parent 1, which reads in part, at its annual meeting after the election of the new board president, the clerk of the board shall report to the board items of business pending before the board. Director Woodward has informed the Office of Board Governance that she is requesting separate consideration of items 1, 8, and 12. So those items would be presented to the board requesting to be carried over.
So let's make that clear. So they're not for discussion tonight in their content, it's to be carried over at the request.
Mr. Chair,
Director
members
Woodward.
of the board, that is correct.
The chair suggests that we deal with this in the same manner in which we deal with committee reports. Board members can ask for separate consideration of items they want referred to committee, and then we can place the balance of the items on file. And I guess, so I want to know, do board members need a few minutes to review this list? So really, all it takes is your request and of one board member, and it's held over for consideration in the regular board schedules. Okay? So let's do that. Let's give a few minutes of review. I hope the listening audience is prepared to a little bit of silence.
Mr. Chair, given that we are not able to have silence on the radio, would you like to take a brief break to allow board members to review the list?
If we could, please.
So noted. The break time would be 6:56.
Okay, let's do this in 5 minutes, a real 5 minutes, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Peterson, followed by Director Phillips. Number 3, Director Phillips.
Number 10, 11, and 13.
Any others? Director Bias.
I would like all of the items to continue except items 4, 5, and 9.
Okay. Is there anyone that wants 4, 5, or 9 to continue?
I want 9.
Okay, and so 9 is not part of that list, okay? Any others? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please read all of them? Even though we did it a little differently, let's read all of them.
Items 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 will be carried over for the ensuing year.
Could we now, is that clear to everyone? Everyone covered? Can we now entertain a motion to place the balance of items, which is how many items?
Items 4 and 5.
Items 4 and 5, to place the balance of items on file.
So moved.
So moved. Can we get a second? Second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Phillips' motion to place items 4 and 5 on file, moving all other items forward, seconded by Director Peterson. Director Baez.
Aye.
Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Woodward.
Aye.
President Miller.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, is there any new business for referral to committee?
Mr. Chair, there are no new items of business.
Madam Secretary, are there any communications or petitions for referral to committee?
We have no communications or petitions.
Madam Secretary, are there any resolutions for referral to committee?
Yes, Mr. President, we have one resolution. The first resolution is Resolution 1920R-001 by Director Miller regarding restorative practices.
This will be referred to the Committee on Student Achievement and School Innovation. And everyone's receiving a copy of it. Madam Secretary, is there any further business on our agenda?
Mr. President, that was the last item on our agenda.
Before we adjourn tonight's meeting, I would like to ask the Board Clerk to distribute copies of Board Rule 3.02, Code of Conduct, Board of School Directors. The Code of Conduct outlines expectations for responsible behavior of board members and sets forth a common basis for staff relations and conduct in meetings. As elected officials, we are accountable to the public. All board members who received the Code of Conduct and agreed to adhere to its provisions when they were newly elected to the board. The chair would like to take this opportunity to remind all members of this body of their commitment to the Code of Conduct. Madam Secretary, please ensure that all board members have one copy of this Code of Conduct for signature and one copy for personal use.
So noted.
Before we adjourn, the chair I would like to once again welcome Directors Marva Herndon, Megan O'Halloran, Bob Peterson, Eric Simpson, and Saquana Taylor to the board. We are all looking forward to working together to accomplish great things for our students and the district as a whole in the coming year. There being no further business before the board, this meeting is adjourned. And all our meetings will be this short.
Yes.